Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a subject really shrouded in rumor, denial, and, well, intense fascination.
We are. We're talking of alleged UFO crash retrievals.
And the possibility of alien occupants, maybe in military custody.
And it's heavy stuff.
For this deep dive, we're working with a pretty remarkable collection of accounts. They were compiled by veteran UFO researcher Leonard H. Stringfield.
Mainly from his 1978 paper, Retrievals of the Third Kind, and also his Status Report 1.
So our mission today is basically to sift through Stringfield's decades of research.
Right. Examine his sources, his case studies, and really try to understand what he calls retrievals of the third kind.
We'll explore the claims, those consistent details that keep popping up, and the profound implications Stringfield believed these incidents hold.
And we have to do this while understanding the challenges.
Yeah.
Investigating something this sensitive, this secretive.
Absolutely. It's a compelling journey, though. It takes us from the earliest days of the whole flying saucer phenomenon right up to Stringfield's passionate plea for official transparency.
Yeah, let's unpack this, see what we can find.
Okay, so Stringfield starts by painting a picture of the UFO phenomenon back in the late 1970s.
He does. And despite decades of reports by then, public disbelief, scientific skepticism, it was still really widespread.
But for researchers like him, dedicated ones, the existence of a real interloper from somewhere, as he put it, was pretty much undeniable.
What's fascinating here is how Stringfield describes this critical crossroads in UFO research, a real divergence of opinion.
A crossroads? How so?
Well, on one side, you had what he called the paraphysical or psychical view. You know, UFOs are from another realm, maybe another dimension. That explained all the paranormal links.
Okay, that sort of high strangeness angle.
Exactly. But then on the other side, there was the more conservative view,
Which was
basically a structured machine from another solar system. But even that view, Stringfield noted, suggested technology so advanced it could also explain things like, well, psychic manipulation.
So, two very different paths to explain similar weirdness.
Pretty much.
And we all know Dr. J. Allen Hynek's Close Encounters terminology. The movie made it famous.
Right, household terms.
But Stringfield introduces something different, something maybe darker, definitely more secretive. Retrievals of the third kind. What did he mean by that specifically?
Okay, so Stringfield defines retrievals of the third kind as these specific incidents where a UFO has allegedly crashed.
Right, a crash.
But, crucially, both the craft and its occupants, described as humanoid, have been placed in military custody.
Ah, so recovery of craft and bodies.
Yes, held at military installations, studied under the highest security measures. That's the key distinction he's making. This is central to understanding the data he presents.
Now, you might be wondering, why did these kinds of stories just stay as rumors for so long?
That's a good question.
Stringfield explains how some early claims, like Frank Scully's 1950 book, Behind the Flying Saucer.
Oh yeah, the Aztec, New Mexico crash story from '48.
Exactly. That was pretty quickly exposed as a hoax.
Right, and that really hurt the whole field.
It made any objective discussion of crashed UFOs immediately unfashionable, as Stringfield put it.
Totally tainted the subject.
He even recalls a very blunt 1954 Air Force denial. It was from a Lieutenant Colonel John O'Mara at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Wright-Patterson, remember that name?
He just called retrieval claims ridiculous, just flat out.
Yeah, but Stringfield kind of suggests there might have been more going on there, doesn't he?
He does. He actually raises the possibility that Scully's book, or maybe even its exposure as a hoax,
Might have been deliberate.
could have been contrived as misinformation to keep the public and media away from the facts. That's his speculation.
So maybe using a hoax to discredit the real possibility.
That seems to be what he's hinting at. But despite those really strong denials, Stringfield saw that the stories just wouldn't die. They persisted.
And his own reliable sources started coming forward, especially after his 1977 book, Situation Red, The UFO Siege.
Right. And this convinced him it was time for, quote, a new and honest look at the old rumors.
And to really confront the possibility of a grand official cover-up.
He doesn't pull any punches about the implications either. He suggests that if even one single retrieval incident is true,
Or just one informant telling the truth.
the impact on humankind would be, well, shocking, affecting our lifestyle, our philosophies, even the global economy, everything.
And that leads to a big question Stringfield grappled with. If there was a cover-up, who's to blame?
Where does the buck stop?
He points fingers, the military establishment, covert intelligence agencies. even the media for not digging deeper.
But he also looks inward, right, at the UFO research community itself.
He does. He suggests they bear some blame for disunity, spending too much time on maybe the paranormal explanations instead of focusing on the metallic, structured craft that seemed to feature in most reports.
Interesting self-critique there.
Yeah. And he really ponders, is it morally right to know about the crashed UFO and its alien occupants? Or does revealing it open a Pandora's box?
That's the core dilemma. He's also really upfront about his sources, which I appreciate.
He is. He says he can't refute their credibility. They're from scattered areas, don't seem connected, don't seem like hoaxers or plants.
But he's careful, too.
Very. He admits he's not in a position to pass final judgment. He allows for marginal error in observation or tiny flaw in human judgment.
His guiding principle.
Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That sums it up.
Okay.
But he stresses he personally hasn't seen a retrieved UFO or its occupants. He doesn't have sworn affidavits.
Because his sources requested anonymity.
Exactly. Which makes all the cases he presents technically hearsay. He's compiling consistent anecdotal evidence, letting the pattern speak.
And he asks you, the listener, to be the judge and the jury based on his own, 29 years of research at that point.
Right.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics now. These alleged retrievals. Let's see just how consistent these patterns actually are.
Sounds good.
So Stringfield builds his case chronologically. He starts right after World War II, a real boom time for UFO reports, as we know.
Makes sense.
And he begins, maybe naturally, with the very famous, very contentious 1947 Roswell, New Mexico incident.
Of course. Can't avoid Roswell.
But what's compelling about his take isn't just the crash itself. It's that immediate, unmistakable military denial that followed. It really set the stage for decades of secrecy.
Yeah, the pattern started early.
He talks about a former Air Force intelligence officer, a Major J.M. This major was dispatched to a ranch where fragments of some kind of metallic aerial device were found.
Okay, and what do you say about them?
He described them as thin as tinfoil, but of unbelievable strength. Said they could not be bent or broken.
Wow, not like any conventional material then.
He was certain they weren't from any known military device. And he ordered the press be told they were just recovering a downed weather balloon.
The classic cover story.
Right. But notably, in this specific account Stringfield presents, no bodies were found. It suggested maybe an aerial explosion.
Interesting. So debris, but no occupants in that specific testimony.
Correct. Then we move into the very early 1950s, a period of, heightened activity, and the focus starts to shift from just the craft to the craft and occupants.
Okay, so the humanoid element starts appearing more.
Exactly. Stringfield documents this intriguing case from 1948. Somewhere in the southwest U.S., or maybe Mexico, a metallic disc, apparently 90 feet in diameter, crashed across the border.
90 feet? That's huge.
Yeah. A retired provost marshal quickly cordoned off the site, and here's where the humanoid part comes in. One dead alien was found.
In the description.
Described as 4 feet, 6 inches tall, completely hairless, with hands that had no thumbs.
No thumbs. That's specific.
Very, and just like Roswell, the troops were warned they'd be the sorriest people around if they talked.
So the secrecy clampdown was immediate again. The pattern holds.
It really does. The early 50s seem to be a real nexus for these kinds of claims. Stringfield has several powerful corroborating accounts, and they often point to one specific place.
Let me guess. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
You got it. Wright-Pat. Take 1952, for instance. Stringfield details a radar specialist at Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay, out west.
He saw a UFO descend rapidly. His captain just told him, "You did not see anything." Classic denial.
Standard operating procedure, it seems.
Later, the specialist heard about a 50-foot crashed craft. It was burned, apparently contained dead humanoid bodies approximately 4.5 feet tall.
4.5 feet. Similar height range again.
And they were supposedly held temporarily at Edwards before being shipped. Where else?
Wright-Patterson.
Bingo. Shipped to Wright-Patterson.
And that detail about Wright-Pat, it's such a persistent thread through Stringfield's research, isn't it?
It really is.
We get more corroboration from a former civilian guard. This was at Wright-Patterson's receiving gate, also in 1952.
What did he see?
He witnessed a lowboy. Those big, low flatbed trucks.
Yeah, for heavy equipment.
Hauling a tarpaulin-covered craft into a high-security area. But even more chillingly, he also claimed he saw deceased bodies recovered from the crashed UFO.
He saw bodies, too.
Yes. Packed in crates. He described them as little people or humanoids.
Wow.
And this guard was apparently so affected he later refused to talk about it. Ever. Not even to his family.
That silence speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It really does. And Stringfield connects this to Senator Barry Goldwater's famous 1974 letter.
Ah, the Goldwater connection.
Yeah. Goldwater stated his own request to access a specific room at Wright-Patterson, a room where information was stored, was flatly denied.
Even for a senator with high clearance.
Right. It adds this layer of political corroboration to all those persistent rumors about Wright-Pat holding secrets.
Okay, so the mid-1950s, this period brings some of the most striking accounts. More direct visual testimony seems to emerge.
Like what?
For instance, 1953, Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. A young radar specialist, 20 years old, called Mr. T. He was shown a secret 5-minute film.
A film. Okay, tell me about it.
It supposedly showed a desert crash site. There was a silver disc, maybe 15, 20 feet wide, military personnel milling around. Standard stuff so far.
Right.
But then the film shifted. It showed 2 tables, and on the tables, dead bodies.
Dead bodies on film.
That's what he claimed.
Hmm.
Described as little by human standards, with large mongoloid-like heads, small noses, mouths, and eyes that were shut.
Details again? Head shape, features?
He said they had leathery and ashen skin and wore tight-fitting pastel suits.
Pascal's it. Huh.
After the film, they were just told to think about it, but don't relate its contents to anyone.
The standard warning.
Later, they tried to tell him it was just a hoax film, but he was convinced it was bona fide, real.
Believed his own eyes, essentially. That's a powerful account.
It is, and that level of detail isn't isolated. Stringfield includes another really compelling account from the same year, 1953, but this time near Kingman, Arizona.
Okay, Arizona now. Who was the witness?
Fritz Werner. He was a project engineer with the Atomic Energy Commission, and he actually signed an affidavit about this.
An affidavit. That adds weight.
It does. He said he was picked up by a military plane, then driven in a blacked-out bus to some remote desert site.
Blacked out bus.
Yeah.
Maximum secrecy.
Totally. He saw an oval object about 30 feet long, dull silver. It was impacted about 20 inches into the sand, but had no marks or dents.
Intact, despite the impact.
Apparently. Then, inside a nearby tent, he got a brief glimpse.
Of what?
The dead body of a 4-foot human-like creature in a silver metallic-looking suit.
4 feet again. Silver suit.
He noted dark brown skin on its face and some kind of metallic skull cap, and his own diary entries from the time confirm he was on a special job I can't write or talk about.
Wow. Contemporary notes backing it up. These are really potent first-hand glimpses, even if brief.
Absolutely. And Stringfield compiles more cases from this period that just echo these themes over and over.
Like what else from 53?
There's a military warrant officer at Wright-Patterson, again in 1953. He saw 5 crates on a forklift inside a hangar.
Okay.
3 of those crates contained recovered dead bodies of small humanoids, about 4 feet tall, lying unshrouded on fabric with dry ice packed underneath.
Dry ice. For preservation, obviously. Description.
He recalled disproportionately larger heads, brown skin, hairless, and wearing tight-fitting dark suits.
Consistent features again. Big heads, small bodies, suits.
And one detail he noted. One humanoid, surprisingly, appeared to be female.
Interesting detail. Any other info from him?
He apparently learned from a crew member that one alien had actually been found alive, but attempts to save it failed.
Alive initially. That adds another layer.
It does. And then you have Mrs. G, a civilian worker at Wright-Patterson in 1955.
Okay, 55 now.
She worked in the Foreign Materials Division. She cataloged roughly 1,000 items, supposedly from a recovered UFO.
1,000 items from one craft.
That's the claim. And she also personally witnessed the conveyance by cart of 2 dead humanoid bodies from one room to another.
She saw them being moved.
Yes. Described them as 4 to 5 feet tall, preserved in chemicals, generally human features, but with large, slanted heads.
Slanted heads now.
Before she died of cancer, she apparently told a young researcher, "Uncle Sam can't do anything to me once I'm in my grave." Gave her the courage to speak, maybe.
Wow. That's quite a statement. What Stringfield seems to be highlighting here is the sheer consistency, right? The appearance, the security.
Exactly. The consistency across these sources, who mostly didn't know each other, is what Stringfield found so compelling. It wasn't just one story, it was many stories painting a similar picture.
And the picture is one of highly organized, highly secret operations, like that 1957 case Southwest U.S.
Tell us about that one.
A major general recounted a crash that was tracked on radar. 4 humanoid bodies recovered, about 5 feet tall this time.
A bit taller than usual.
Yeah, but badly burned. Their silver suits were actually fused to the flesh.
horrific detail.
The general saw them personally in a deep-freeze morgue at Wright-Patterson, kept at roughly 120 degrees below zero.
Minus 120. Serious preservation.
Absolutely. And even the craft's transport was described meticulously.
Yep.
Moved by rail using 2 military conveyance rocket cars, properly camouflaged.
The rocket cars. Camouflaged. It sounds like something out of a movie, but it paints that picture of extreme measures.
Exactly. Elaborate security for every step.
Okay, so moving into the 1960s now. Stringfield continues to build his case, and some of these later accounts get even more chilling. They seem to introduce new dimensions to this alleged cover-up.
How so?
Well, take 1962 in New Mexico. An intelligence source reported a 68-foot circular craft. It crashed apparently at about 90 mile per hour after having flight trouble while being tracked by military radar.
Track before crashing. Okay. Occupants.
2 occupants found dead on impact, only 42 inches tall, so 3.5 feet.
Back to the smaller size.
They wore one-piece suits, skin described as gray pink, head slightly larger, eyes somewhat larger, small noses.
The familiar description again.
And no earlobes, but a hole at each side of the head.
Just holes for ears.
Yeah.
Specific anatomical detail.
And the bodies, interestingly, were reportedly taken to a major medical university hospital for analysis.
Ah, not Wright-Patt this time. A university hospital.
Yeah, a slight deviation from the pattern, but still emphasizing that medical study aspect.
Okay. And as the years go on, do the retrieval operations seem to change?
Stringfield's informants seem to describe an increasing level of maybe sophistication or just more detail emerges. Take 1966, back at Wright-Patterson, Ohio.
What happened there?
James Mitchell. He was a civil service electrician, had top secret clearance. He apparently brought home an 8x10 black and white photo.
Brought a photo home. Risky.
Very. His son described the photo. It showed 2 men holding a dead alien humanoid, about 3.5 feet tall.
Matched the size from the 62 case.
It did. And the description, pear-shaped head, slits for eyes and mouth, wearing a dull, wrinkled metallic suit.
Pear-shaped head. Another specific detail.
Mitchell later confided something else. He said it was from a skirmish out in the Arizona desert. Military units encountered aliens near a landed craft.
A skirmish, like conflict.
That's the implication. And one alien was apparently given a sedative by injection, which caused its death.
Whoa. Killed by injection. That's dark.
Extremely. Stringfield reports the photo caused a huge stir back at the base when they found out he'd taken it home.
I bet it did. So, hints of interaction, even conflict starting to appear.
Yes. And there's more from Wright-Patterson in 1966. An air intelligence agent identified only as JK.
What did JK claim?
He claimed to have personally seen 9 deceased alien bodies preserved in deep freeze conditions under well-lighted, thick glass enclosures.
9 bodies, all at once.
Yeah. About 4 feet tall, grayish skin. And he was told that at that time 30 bodies were held in preservation there.
30. That suggests a massive ongoing collection effort, if true.
Exactly. And Stringfield notes JK made some other big claims, too. Like, since 1948, secret UFO info involving the military has been kept in a computer center at Wright-Patterson.
The central database.
A master file and duplicate support backup files, is how JK described it.
Okay. And anything else?
Yes, get this. JK also mentioned highly trained mobilized units, nicknamed the Blue Berets.
Blue Berets. Like a special forces unit for UFOs.
Apparently. In a constant ready state to be dispatched anywhere in the U.S. to recover downed or crashed UFOs.
A dedicated retrieval team.
And they supposedly use diversionary tactics, like creating power blackouts to cover their operations.
Power blackouts linked to UFOs. That's a common trope in UFO lore.
It is. And JK even stated that during the Vietnam crisis years, 66 to 68, there were 5 UFO crashes just in the Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky tri-state area.
5 crashes in that short period in one region.
Including one incident where 3 alien bodies were retrieved and there was an alleged shooting with the alien force.
A shooting? Okay, that escalates things significantly.
It really does. That detail, the alleged shooting with alien forces, it pushes these narratives towards open confrontation.
And Stringfield has another example along those lines, right, from 1968.
Yes, at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada. A general supposedly revealed a top-secret document to an Air Force sergeant.
What did the document say?
Described a large UFO hovering over Nellis AFB for 3 whole days.
3 days. Hovering over a major airbase.
Then 3 smaller craft separated from the main one, and one actually landed on the base.
Landed. Okay, then what?
A colonel went out with an armed security team to approach it. A humanoid disembarked described as short and stocky.
Huh.
A beam of light was directed at the colonel, and he was instantly paralyzed.
Paralyzed by a light beam.
That's the account. When orders were given to fire on the craft or the being, the troops found their weapons were mysteriously jammed.
Weapons jammed. Another common element in encounter stories.
Exactly. The colonel was recovered later, but apparently could only make sense of the event in terms of pure mathematics, whatever that means.
Strange. So these incidents seem to highlight a shift, maybe from just passive crashes to more active, even potentially hostile encounters.
That seems to be the trend in the later accounts Stringfield gathered, and he brings us claims right up to his publication date in the late 70s.
What's the latest dated one?
1973. And guess where?
Let me guess. Wright-Patterson.
You know it, Wright-Patterson, Ohio. An air police member named Carl, he said he was blindfolded, led through some secret area.
Blindfolded. More secrecy.
To guard 3 dead alien bodies. He was in a room with ranking officers and scientists.
Guarding bodies again. Description.
About 3 feet tall, abnormally large heads, and short fuzz on the top.
Head fuzz, another little detail.
Carl seemed really profoundly affected by this, apparently refused to discuss it afterwards, just saying he will tell everything he knows after President Carter makes an announcement.
Waiting for official disclosure before talking. Interesting.
Yeah. And finally, in a sort of chilling summary note, Stringfield mentions an unsubstantiated incident. This was from spring 1977 in southwestern Ohio.
Unsubstantiated, okay. What was the rumor?
It involved a landed or maybe disabled craft and a number of its occupants who engaged a military unit dispatched to the scene.
Engaged, as in?
The sketchy data suggested violence. Alien casualties were implied, though no word on human casualties.
A battle.
Stringfield himself acknowledges that a pitched land battle between U.S. military and alien forces seems more like fantasy. He admits it sounds far-fetched.
But he still included it.
He did. He argued that if something like that were true, the secrecy lid would come down hard on it. It shows that even for Stringfield, some accounts pushed the boundaries, but he felt obligated to record them as part of the overall pattern of claims he was receiving.
Right. Documenting the full spectrum of reports, even the most extreme ones.
Exactly. So across all these incredibly diverse accounts spanning decades, different locations, different types of witnesses, Stringfield starts to draw out a surprisingly consistent anatomical picture of these alleged alien humanoids.
Yeah, this is where he synthesizes the data. It's really fascinating how a composite image emerges.
So what does that composite look like based on his sources?
Okay, so pulling from his anonymous medical and military sources, he describes beings typically 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall. One source mentioned maybe closer to 5 feet, but mostly in that shorter range.
Generally small.
Their heads are described as large when compared with the size of the torso and limbs. You know, the classic large head, small body trope.
Right. What about facial features?
The eyes are large, sunken or deep set, far apart, and slightly slanted. Think classic gray alien eyes, basically.
Almond-shaped, large.
Pretty much. Ears. No earlobes, just apertures or holes on the sides of the head.
Holes instead of ears. Okay.
The nose is vague, sometimes just a slight protuberance, not prominent at all.
And the mouth.
A small slit is the common description. Sometimes not described at all. It apparently doesn't seem to function for communication or eating, based on these accounts.
A non-functional slit for a mouth. Strange.
The neck is thin, or sometimes not even visible under their clothing.
Okay. Body details.
Bodies are generally described as hairless, though there was that one mention of maybe slight fuzz on the top of the head.
Right, the fuzz.
Torsos are small and thin, and interestingly, no abdominal navel indicated, no belly button.
No navel. That implies non-mammalian birth, maybe?
That's certainly one interpretation. Arms are long and thin and reaching down to the knee section.
Long arms. And hands.
Hands typically described with 4 fingers, no thumb. And 3 different observers mentioned a webbing effect between fingers.
4 webbed fingers, no thumb. Very specific. Wow. That is a lot of consistent detail emerging from supposedly independent sources. What about other characteristics, like skin color, reproduction?
Okay, skin color. Definitely not green, Stringfield emphasizes. Typically described as having a rough texture and gray color.
So the gray description holds for skin, too.
Mostly, though some accounts describe beige, tan, brown, or even bluish-gray, perhaps an effect of deep freeze lighting. And in that one burned case, charred to dark brown.
Okay, variation, but mostly grayish tones. Anything about internal biology?
Very little data. Nothing concrete on teeth or internal organs like digestive systems. The reproductive organs area is described as sensitive or secret.
Meaning witnesses didn't see or weren't allowed to see.
Seems like it. One observer claimed no male or female organs could be identified. This led Stringfield himself to speculate they might not reproduce like humans, maybe cloning?
Pure speculation, but based on the lack of observable organs.
Right, and many observers commented that the bodies appeared almost formed out of a mold, sharing identical biological traits, like clones or biological robots.
Mass-produced, almost.
That's the impression. And their blood, described as a liquid, but not blood as we know it. Different composition entirely.
So it really paints this unique yet remarkably consistent biological portrait across numerous accounts. Yeah, this level of consistent detail from multiple supposedly independent sources over decades, that's really one of the most compelling aspects Stringfield presents, isn't it? It's his core argument for taking these hearsay accounts seriously.
It absolutely is. Stringfield reinforces that, look, the public files at the National Archives, they don't reveal these hard facts. But his data, gathered from what he believed were reliable and diverse sources, definitely strengthens the extraterrestrial hypothesis.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't constitute final, absolute proof.
You can see why he felt compelled to publish it.
He admits he felt a sense of human uneasiness as all these corroborative clues started falling into place. It made him realize that the giant intelligence community, as he calls it, has likely been sitting atop a real Pandora's box.
But he adds, with some righteous cause. He sees their side, too.
He does. Which leads to the dilemma of secrecy.
Right. While Stringfield definitely criticizes the harsh and tricky actions supposedly used to suppress the facts, he also acknowledges the immense difficulty faced by intelligence agencies. He's not just pointing fingers. He seems to be trying to understand why such secrecy might exist.
Exactly. He literally asks, how would the public react to a sudden official disclosure of even the scantest details relevant to the humanoid? It's a valid question, especially back in the 70s. He stresses that the whole humanoid factor is really just a small piece of the overall UFO puzzle, which he calls sobering.
Implying there's much more they might know.
That's the implication. And more profoundly, Stringfield believes the intelligence community simply doesn't know the intent behind the UFOs. Are they friendly, hostile, indifferent?
The ultimate question.
And releasing part of the story? Yes, they exist. We have bodies. Without being able to define that intent. Well, he argues that could create an even greater concern in the unpredictable public mind.
It's the classic national security dilemma, isn't it? The perceived risk of panic versus the public's right to know, fear of the unknown.
Precisely.
But despite acknowledging those concerns, Stringfield ultimately comes down on the side of disclosure, right? He believes people can handle it.
He really does. He says the human mind is ready to hear the truth. He points to humanity's survival through hot wars, a long Cold War under nuclear threat, the social upheavals of the late 60s and 70s.
Basically saying, we've been through a lot, we're resilient.
Exactly. Evidence of our resilience. He truly seems to have faith in our ability to cope with radical new information.
And he ends his paper with some pretty fundamental questions.
He does. Questions that still echo today, really. Who are these mortals whose imperfect craft have crashed into the foreign soil of Earth? From what star system do they come, where evolutionary life is not too different than our Earth's?
Searching for kinship, almost.
Yeah. Is there a missing link in our primeval pasts, or lost in our archaeological wonders which might reveal a human kinship? Big, big questions about our place in the cosmos.
And ultimately, Stringfield's work, presented back in 1978, it culminates in a very direct plea, doesn't it?
It does, a direct plea to the president at the time, Jimmy Carter.
Who had famously reported his own UFO sighting.
Right. Stringfield asks Carter to seriously review the testimony I have recorded in this paper, and then, with his conscience as his guide, tell the nation the truth.
Just lay it out there, a really passionate call for transparency based on the weight of the evidence he'd gathered.
Yeah, a powerful conclusion to his report.
So this deep dive into Leonard Stringfield's Retrievals of the Third Kind, it presents this meticulous, if unofficial, history of these alleged UFO craft retrievals and their occupants. It's a fascinating look at one man's effort to piece together a hidden narrative.
Absolutely. Decades of work trying to penetrate layers of official denial and just whispered rumors. What really stands out to you from all this? Is it the consistency in the descriptions, the persistence of the secrecy, or those huge questions he raises?
You know, for me, it's less about any single detail and more about the sheer implication of the whole thing. If even a fraction of these accounts are true, If the military or some part of the government has had proof of extraterrestrial life and technology for decades,
Yeah,
then the truly profound takeaway isn't just that Stringfield found consistent stories. It's that the scale of that alleged decades-long suppression means we've potentially been living in a fundamentally different reality than the one presented to us.
that's a huge thought.
Think about it. Imagine the scientific leaps we might have made, the societal shifts. If this information, this technology, this understanding of life beyond Earth had actually been shared, what paths weren't taken because this was kept secret? That, to me, is the real Pandora's box Stringfield was hinting at, the potential lost opportunity or the alternative history we might be living in.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Stringfield's work, at the end of the day, is a testament to that persistent human drive for knowledge, isn't it? Even when facing immense secrecy and potential ridicule. We hope this deep dive has given you, the listener, a clearer picture of these really extraordinary claims and the enduring mystery surrounding crash retrievals.